All right, so actually I might just turn that other bit off. Otherwise it's running in the background, sorry. Okay, so if we look at this, function notation is a different way of us doing exactly the same thing as what we've already learned. So you're not learning a new skill, you're just learning a new way of reading something, okay? We're still doing substitution. So if you look at this f of x equals 2x plus 4, what do you usually see at the start of an equation instead of f of x? Y. Okay, so you'd usually see that as y equals 2x plus 4. Okay, but instead, when we're looking at functions and graphing, and your calculator uses it this way as well, what we say is a function of x. Now, a function is like a graph, okay, or of something. A function with x in it is what this is saying. Now, we often use f to start with, so a function of x is 2x plus 4. That's what that's saying. Okay, this one's saying a function with x in it, we're going to call that function g because we've already got an f, so we need to define it as a different thing. So this is saying an equation, we're going to call it f, it's got x in it, and it's 2x plus 4. This is saying an equation with x in it, we're going to call it g, and it's negative 3x plus 1. And so what we can now do is, instead of having to write that, if this equation is this, determine the value of y given that, like all those words, we kind of get it down to being able to go, given f of x equals 2x plus 4, find f4. And what find f4 is, it means find the value of this function when instead of x, we sub in 4. So all that's saying is x equals 4. Solve it. Okay, and that's all that's saying. So how would I actually answer f of 4? Given f of x equals 2x plus 4, solve the, or evaluate the function with instead of x, 4. What would I write for my working out? What's the function of f? What's the equation we've used with f labelled as it? Which one has f in it at the top? The first one, okay? So 2x plus 4 is what f is. F, that function we've labelled f, is 2x plus 4. So instead of x, we're going to put in 4. So all we have to do is write 2 bracket 4 plus 4. It's just substituting in, instead of x, we're substituting in 4. Does that make sense? Yeah? So 2 times 4, I need you guys to help me out here, please. 2 times 4, 8 plus 4, 12. Perfect. It's way quicker. Means you don't have to listen to me for as long if you just help me out. Okay? Sam? Okay, because the question is F4. So I've given you that as a question, F4. So it's like me saying, given this equation, evaluate it if x equals 4. Instead of me writing x equals 4, this tells me I'm using this equation, x equals 4, because whatever's in the brackets is what x is going to be subbed into. Okay, we'll try a couple more. So f of 4 equals 12. So then you get multiple questions after that. So now I could say f of negative 3. So we're still looking at the same equation. Which one is labelled f? Still the first one. But this time, instead of x being 4, what's x going to be? Negative 3. So we write the same equation out, but instead of x, we put in negative 3. So we go 2 times negative 3 plus 4. Yeah? So 2 times negative 3 is negative 6 plus 4, negative 2. So people get really confused by this, but it's actually easier than writing out all the words for substitution. It's just that you have to remember what it means. And once you practice a bit, it usually gets quite easy. So f of negative 3 equals negative 2. What about if I wrote, and you guys keep working down the page, I'm just going to write on the right-hand side so you can still see the equations up the top. What if I wrote G of 5? G of 5 equals. What does G of 5 equal? Alex, you got any ideas? G of 5? No? Yeah, Georgia? Good. We're going to sub in x equals 5 into which equation? The second one, the G equation, because it says G. We're looking at this equation. If it says F, we're looking at this equation. Yeah. Okay, so it tells you, it sort of defines it with a letter. You could have H, you could have whatever. Usually it starts with F. You've got to just look at what letter's there before the brackets to know which equation to use. Yeah. All right, so G of 5 means we're going to use the G equation and sub in x equals 5. So we end up with -3 times 5 plus 1. -3 times 5, -15 plus 1, -14. I'm pretty impressed with most of your integer skills, guys. It's good. We getting there? Okay. Do one more simple one, and then I'll give you one tricky one. And then we're kind of done. So G of -2. Can you guys try G of -2 for me, please? Good. Oh, okay, cool. Yeah, cool. All right, so G of -2 equals -3 times -2 plus 1. -3 times -2 is +6 plus 1 is 7. Thank you. Everyone good? All right, I'm going to give you one tricky one, and this is going to test you on how well you're going to do when we do algebra tomorrow, okay? So what do you think we would have to write if I wrote f of x equals g of x? Yep. Good. You write the equation of f with x as x equals the equation of g with x as g, because, sorry, with x as x in there too. So we'd write 2x plus 4, that's the equation of f, that's f of x, yeah, equals, so from the blue equation, the top. Yep, still based off the top. So you'll always be given the equations to start with, okay? Equals 3x plus 1, because that's what g of x equals. Now, this is tricky, and actually we'll be doing the solving later in the week. So that's okay if you can't do this, but I just thought I'd try and show it to you just in case, because often comes up. Sam? Because I made a mistake. Thank you very much. -3x plus 1. Good pickup. All right, so then we would then want to try and solve for what x equals, because there's only one equation in there. So I would have actually had to written solve. That equals that. So just as a reminder of our algebra skills, we're going to start simpler than this tomorrow. What do I do to be able to solve this to get x by itself? Georgia? Yep. Good. Perfect. So I've got 5x plus 4 equals 1. Good. Take -3. And so x equals Perfect. And that's our answer, okay? So that's sort of that's probably the trickiest sort of one on function notation you might get, but you'd get that after we had finished solving, which is what our next topic is, okay? So you wouldn't get that suddenly today.